I think that 2023 is going to be a very probably the most defining year in terms of where my writing direction is going to go. It's a very bold thing to say, but over the past several weeks, amidst my sort of disenfranchisement with this querying process, an idea has continually come to me. This sort of thought of going in a different direction. Um, to be more specific, I suppose I would say to look at the potential option of self-publishing my work. Um, it There was a feeling back when I first put the first couple chapters of my work up online here. There was a feeling of an odd satisfaction in just having my work out there and just getting it out into the world. What I thought I wanted from my work, what I had thought I sort of desired from the world was the element of the brand, right? Of being branded, and sort of following the brand of having a traditional publisher behind me. I thought I liked perhaps some small acclaim at sort of being one of the people that was selected by an agent and potentially got a publishing deal out of it to get my work out there, right? It was a certain I think, yeah, I think prestige is probably just the best way of saying it, right? There was a small level that came with that process that I always thought that my work would need to have behind it for me to feel fulfilled, for me to feel satisfied, um, with how my work had turned out. That if I wrote something really strong, but if I didn't have that small level of prestige behind it, if I didn't have a traditional publisher behind it, I would not feel well. I would feel like I had failed. It would feel very, very sour to me. But there was a feeling back when I got my workout of just being happy to have my work out there, of just being glad that people are reading it, or at least can read part of it now, if they'd ever desire to do it. And the thought has persisted. It's grown in me. It's continually rattled around my brain in those quiet moments when I am driving between appointments at my job, when I am away from the keyboard. There are moments where the thought comes to me, the idea of going in that direction. And man, there's this constant notion of it, and it has not yet gone away. It's not some fleeting thing. And so my plan for next year is to give it some consideration, to actually put some very serious consideration behind to going down this avenue. It stuck with me for so long, it's been in my head for so long that it can't be ignored. It's not something that can just be just written off and so easily dismissed. I don't know what will actually happen of it. I don't know what the direction will actually end up being. Um, it feels very short-sighted to ever do something out of frustration. It feels very short-sighted to kind of abandon my plan A, that I've spent years kind of going down that path, because of disillusionment, because of um, just just a general emotional reaction. It's difficult to it feels very, very incorrect to do something based upon that. Um, but maybe there's something more there. Perhaps there is something more with just the satisfaction of getting my work out there. Perhaps um, there is another side to this. And to be truthful, I seem to have done everything in this process on my own. I seem to have done, obviously, with the writing, with the editing, with this channel here. I've more or less done this all on my own. I have a very strong critique group and writing group that's been able to support me, and I have a couple of writing friends that have always been there to offer advice. But as far as the labor goes, it's something that I've always had to do myself. And there's a part of me that seems to be thinking that the only way I'm ever going to get this thing done, that I'm ever going to get my work out to everybody, that I'm going to get things, um, that I'm going to reach a wide audience, is going to be if I do it myself. If I end up just kind of taking on the labor, forgetting that there's ever going to be help, forgetting that there's ever going to be um, someone coming for me, right? There's never going to be that agent waiting at some point, maybe in the wings, to assist me, or a publisher behind me. Forgetting about those chances and going out on my own and doing this all myself. It feels like someone who's been ruined on like a deserted island, and you're sort of waiting for that rescue, right? Like the agent, the publisher, basically that's sort of like the airplane that's going to pass over, right? So you put up the SOS, and you write it with the rocks in the sand, whatever, and you wait and you try to, maybe every now and then there's a passing ship you try to flag down, but none ever stop. And is a point where you decide, okay, I'm getting off this thing. The only way that it's going to happen is if I build my raft and I basically venture out into the sea and try to find land. Um, and that's how I'm feeling now. I'm feeling I'm at that point now where I've got to stop waiting for the outside to come and just take on that challenge myself. Um, it's it's a consideration that's in my mind. I don't know if I'll make a decision anytime in the near future on this, one way or the other. But next year, that's got to be the number one thing. I'm living in two worlds right now. I felt it for, I guess, for a while. That maybe for a while I felt this way, but I feel like I'm stuck in two worlds. That I'm sort of going about the motions of one thing, that I'm going through the query process on this one side, but with this sort of this lack of belief that it's actually going to pay off as well. That I'm just doing it just for the sake of doing it, and there's got to come a point where I've got to decide one or the other, and I've got to put my full energy into it. If I'm going to continue to query, I've got to, I don't know what, I've got to find some other way besides just traditional querying. I've got to find a different way besides just cold querying. I've got to look at things, conventions, basically one-to-one meetings with agents, whatever it might be, if I decide to go traditional, or abandon it and do it yourself. Because this in between state right now it's honestly, if I didn't have this short story project I'm working on right now, if I didn't have that, it would feel very, very suffocating. It would feel like I was stuck in this absolute limbo state, and I would be doing absolutely nothing at all. I would just be sitting at home, just waiting to decide. So it's coming to a head. It's inevitability. At some point, I've got to make a big reassessment of how I want to go forward my career in the writing field, um, and then do it. Make a decision and then go with it, because this in between, it can't continue to exist.